this thing on?
We're talking about practice, man.
As I work with my hands. It's a misdemeanor in 27 states.
You gotta be comfortable with your co-host in this amount of space.
Yeah, I can see me and you.
This guy runs a state.
You get that through your head?
You just got hashtag content.
You know, technology and stuff.
Up in your grill. It's stuck in your teeth.
Now I have to mark them so I don't get the lick mic.
You're not really that stupid, are you?
Quavos.
I'm just here so I won't get fined.
We'd have a lot of editing this time.
The ceiling is the roof. Let's make it happen.
Sports is often the distraction during difficult times. Rarely does it take center stage in the national discourse. How did the NFL respond? We'll take a look.
The Bills dropped a tough one this week at home. Sike.
Plus, FOTS Esquire Matt Hauswirth stops by to talk some college football.
And you will fall for fall fitness and diet recommendations from our fitness guru, James Whelan. TBD!
To be determined, episode 30 previously recorded from a studio in Mom's basement. That was the Comic Sans of what I just said. The audio Comic Sans.
That was Wingdings, baby.
Wingdings.
Anarchy.
It was the
All upon ya.
Wingdings audio. At Sports by Bond, Steve Bond with at Travs Matt Traybold. At Scooty Minx. All the above.
At all the above.
What's the word?
Ugh, stretching it out.
Okay, I don't know why you're doing it.
Stretch.
It's good audio for the people early
yeah.
on.
Yeah, just, hey, enjoy my grunts, people. Enjoy my grunts.
Trying to take a look. We forgot to do our research ahead of time right off the bat for the best number 30s, as it is episode Dirty 30.
No, see, I'm going to have to stop you right there. Because Dirty 30, it's too mainstream. It's too easy. You got to say maybe Wordy 30.
Wordy 30, all right. You got any others?
You know what? I had others earlier, but
You forgot them, huh?
they have since
It's
been
all right.
forgotten. But hey,
It's all right.
we use words, plenty of them. Wordy 30, baby.
Ken Davis.
Oh, yes.
I'm sorry, not Ken Davis. Ken Griffey. Golly.
Oh, I was like, yes, Ken Davis.
Terrell Davis. That's what I meant. I combined TD and Ken Griffey
Not bad.
mistakenly. My favorite number 30.
Which hockey player? Martin Brodeur?
Martin Brodeur, not Martin.
Martin St. Louis and Martin Brodeur.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Big show for you on episode 30. NFL obviously taking really center stage, not only in the sports world, but across everyone's world this week.
Much worlds.
Thanks to the comments made by the president and how NFL teams responded to it. College football took center stage in what I think is, in the football universe, all-inclusive. I mean, college football just is killing it this year.
To say they are closing the gap almost entirely here this season.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
NFL.
We'll talk with Matt Hauswirth about not only Syracuse, but the rest of the ACC, some Big 12 discussion. Then who does he think is in the college football playoff as it stands right now in the way too early predictions, as always. We'll talk fall fitness recommendations, diet type stuff. I will vehemently try to defend pumpkin spice and lose in that debate.
I hope you do.
Well, you'll have to stick around. Our fitness guru, James Whelan, set to join us. And Mello headed to the Midwest. Interesting trade. That's coming up in segments. A lot to get to. But we begin, as everyone does on this Monday, by playing Monday Morning Quarterback. And we talk about the Bills. The Bills are 2-1. I don't think many people, including myself, thought the Buffalo Bills would be 2-1 as we sat here.
Now, yes, there is some validity to that. Just the fact that 2-1, just naked, pretty surprising when you think about this team and what was expected of them coming to the season. But one of those wins, even though the Jets beat the Miami Dolphins this week.
It's like 1.5 wins.
Yes. It's still the Jets. They're still going to be maybe not the full seller, but they're going to be at least towards the bottom. That win against Miami definitely makes me think it might not be the full bottom, but we'll see.
Crazy?
And then, I mean, you've mentioned it before, the wise guys, they're in Vegas. Brent Musburger has a new Sirius XM radio station about it. They were only, 3-point underdogs in this game?
Yeah.
So,
the Bills were
I
3-point
don't
home
know
dogs.
if it's a massive, massive upset.
Yeah.
In terms of that part of it.
In the wise guys' eyes?
I like that.
Yeah, okay, all right.
I definitely like that.
I don't know if it's a massive upset in that regard. It's a 10-point spread. So with that, with the Vegas 3, it becomes 13, which is crazy. What we saw today from Buffalo was a team that struggled to run the ball for the second straight week. Only 75 yards on the ground as a unit. Tyrod had some nice throws, but benefited from some lucky calls and some lucky bounces, as we saw with the Andre Holmes touchdown catch.
And this week, you didn't have Mike Tolbert supplanting him and helping a guy in LaShawn McCoy, hobbled or not, whatever you want to say he was last week, helping him in terms of a general unit rushing the ball to help that out. And, LaShawn at least was getting it done in terms of short passes, was able to get some yardage off of that because he had a couple attempts at, there was a 4th and 1, I believe, as well, as I smack the mic as I usually do.
It's good.
He was doing a lot more in terms of that kind of production off the passing game, off of screen passes this week, which he just was ineffective as well in last week. So at least he got that aspect of his game going a little bit more.
This defense is spectacular. And I think after 3 weeks, we can definitively say that. They made Trevor Siemian look like an amateur. 2 interceptions, and the second one probably shouldn't even happen. Siemian just did not have enough arm strength on the throw, and Trey White gets his first career interception. But this defense looks good. They got to him, 3 times, I think? They got to Siemian 3 times
Lawson,
on the afternoon.
Williams, Alexander.
So 3 sacks. 2 of the old guys getting involved there, which is nice to see.
One of the young
and
bloods.
one of the young bucks. Yeah, exactly.
Young bucks, young blood, whatever you want to say. Young's in there.
Exactly. But this defense held what many people thought was an emerging offense in Denver to only 16 points on the road.
They came down to earth. This is the Trevor Siemian people expected coming into the season. You mentioned that second interception that Trey White got his mitts on. Oh, my gosh. I hope he was trying to throw that out of bounds and just didn't give it enough oomph because he's throwing across his body. He's on the far hash mark. Oh, my gosh.
No excuse for that throw.
What are you doing? There was nothing in that play. You make sure, even if it goes in the stands, you get ridiculed for it, you make sure it's not even close to an interception possibility.
Not a turnover at that point. You're right. You're absolutely right. You got to launch it into the rafters. If there were rafters at the Ralph. That doesn't make any sense. Bad visual. Trey White, a tale of 2 halves. I think is the best way to describe his game. The first half, it was clear Mike McCoy wanted to pick on him and try to expose the rookie, and I don't think the Rook was ready. The second half, whatever adjustments they made defensively or he made personally, he looked like a completely different player in that second half. He was really fun to watch.
And he's had a great season so far. It depends how you look at it, though, because a lot of people are like, oh, we should have more interceptions. But, as a DB, you're looking for that PD stat, that passes defended, and he's been slapping away all sorts of possible receptions. And you make the joke, well, that's why he's playing DB. He's not a wide receiver. But that is big. He's at least slapping balls away again today.
He had a couple nice ones in the second half where he looked like a vet, which is really good to see. All right, so we move to a specific moment in this game. Fourth quarter, roughly, 8 minutes to go. Bills facing a huge third down. They can extend the drive and really put Denver in a pickle. And Denver appears to come up with a stop, which would have forced Buffalo to punt.
Yeah, with a lot of time
With
left.
a lot of time, as we mentioned, about 8 minutes. So plenty of time for Siemian and company to try to do something. And at that point, they're only down
a touchdown.
It was only down
You're
7.
Only down a touchdown.
Yeah, you're only down 7.
This looked, even for Siemian after just that terrible interception, this looked pretty good in terms of a comeback possibility.
Yeah, a golden opportunity. And Von Miller denies his quarterback and his team that opportunity, called for an unsportsmanlike conduct play when he gave Tyrod the sike.
This is buffoonery. It's not on Von. It's not on Von at all.
The flag gave the Bills a first down, and the drive resulted in a field goal. As we both noted here, awful call, major impact on the outcome of that game.
Yeah, that's a game changer because, like we just said a second ago, they were given an olive branch by the situation with all that time, with the fact that they weren't down by that much. And, like, come on, it was so far after the play. You, like, heard a whistle and you thought it was for something completely different, not even pertaining to maybe someone who jumped on the field. It was that far afterwards. You didn't think it pertained to the last play. And for something so juvenile, I mean, Tyrod Taylor not only was joking about it then because he thought it was funny, because it was so harmless and it's just buffoonery by the zebra, but he was also laughing about it after the fact, which I'm sure the referee doesn't like because he was hoping to get a little bit of love from the team he helped out with it. Like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me with this marshmallow ridiculousness?
Yeah. It wasn't good. Not a good look for the league, I don't think. Especially when you're marquee players.
Yeah.
I mean, Vaughn's not only the face of Old Spice, but he's one of the faces of the league.
And not only is he a massive player, but he's also somebody that I think is a pretty good face and a pretty good person to put out there in the community as a representative of the NFL. You don't think that's going to be happening to Von Miller, of all people?
Minor point in this whole game.
Yeah, minor point, major point,
all
boy.
Right. Tomato. Joe Webb is a special teams all-star.
He's an everyman.
Denver tried to fake a punt at one point, and while he didn't get the solo tackle, he had a partial tackle in preventing Denver from converting that fake punt into not only first down, but momentum at that point. I mean, a lot of momentum. I mean, Joe Webb had another big tackle on a kickoff. Dude was all over the place. Now, this is your third-string quarterback, which also doubles as a backup receiver and apparently triples as a special teams player.
He is on the roster as a quarterback. That's the position he's spent most of his time in the NFL so far at. But the last practice I was at there at one Bills drive, he was out there and he has 61 receiving yards in his NFL career so far. He's out there taking routes. He's out there catching balls from Tyrod Taylor. And now he's recording 2 tackles, and not just tackles, not just nothing tackles. I mean, that was a massive play.
Yes.
They got great field position out of that when he made, and he snuffed it out immediately. Him and I don't know who else was.
I can't remember who it was because it was at that point it was Joe Webb.
He finished the job, and they were both right on it. I mean, I thought a lot of people would have got fooled by that. I think 9 of the defenders were fooled by that, but not him and his crony. Yeah.
Joe Webb just stole the show today for us. I don't know why. It was just
I loved it.
So the Bills,
he's so interesting.
Yeah, the Bills get the win, 26-16. And here's the part of the show where we won't stick to sports, or at least I won't. Trav's admittedly not a big political guy.
Yeah, I'm not a big political guy. I choose to stick to sports. That's where I think we should be talking about in terms of what I'm bringing to the table. But hey, in order to, there might be some times where I chime in here. I'm gonna let Steve go, guys. I'm gonna let Steve go. This is more his wheelhouse. But yeah, there might be some times in terms of us having both sides of the story, which is only fair. I might chime in. I'm watching Jack Del Rio in his playing days, and gosh, he
glorious.
He is something.
It's quite a head of hair on him. All right, this week you can't stick to sports because sports became news. It became the news of the weekend, no matter where you were. It wasn't weather for once. It wasn't Russia. It wasn't some sort of investigation. It was Trump's comments about the NFL. And so I've got a whole bunch of notes here. I'm going to try to ramble as quick as I can to get this point out because I feel compelled to at least voice an opinion. We've got voices here. We've got an outlet. And I'm sure some of you will agree with me and some of you won't. And that's the beautiful part of the country. I welcome those that do disagree, and that's the idea, is that's what the First Amendment right guarantees.
Yeah.
It gives us the ability to do this podcast. So, the headline of Week 3 in the NFL came from the White House. Trump called on the NFL to do something about the players protesting during the national anthem. Trump saying, quote, "Wouldn't you love to see one of these NFL owners, when someone disrespects the flag, to say, get that SOB off the field right now. Get out. He's fired." End quote. Little throwback to his apprentice days, I guess. And what looked like another rally for him, another campaign rally. He already won the election, but he's still campaigning, which makes no sense to me, but that's another... I guess he's getting ahead of the game for 2020. That makes no sense. It's a side point, but it's very confusing to me. Trump continued to double, triple, and even quadruple down throughout the day with even more and more comments. All of this rhetoric, caused teams and players and owners to take to social media to express their displeasure with Trump's comments. Sports suddenly found their way into the toxic mix of social media and politics. Crazy place to be. Fans and otherwise felt empowered and compelled at times to express their opinions, and boy, were they strong on social media which further stirred this pot. And man, I'll tell you, I got suckered into, like I'm sure many of you did, suckered into reading these mentions. They were all over the place. You couldn't help it. And you no matter what way you feel, no matter what side of the aisle you are on, you feel burned in some way. You feel slighted, you feel angered, and I get it. I totally get it. We're playing with emotions here. Players around many professional sports teams, not just the NFL. Of course, this started in the NFL, sort of went to the NBA, bounced around to the MLB quickly, and then came back to the NFL. Took to social media to express their feelings. Teams held special meetings, including the Bills, to discuss how they would react to Sunday's national anthems. Many around the league went arm in arm as a sign of solidarity. Many dropped to one knee, just like Colin Kaepernick did last year. Some owners went as far as to go arm in arm with players. We noted that Shad Khan and the Redskins owner,
Dan Snyder and
Dan
Raleigh Fingers.
Snyder, Raleigh Fingers, Dan Snyder, and Shad Khan both went arm in arm. I'm not sure if anyone else did. We may have just missed it.
There were definitely some suits in other games, but in terms of the highest
Right.
of suits,
Right.
I don't think so.
What I find odd about all this is that these are the same owners of these teams that refused to sign Colin Kaepernick because he was, quote, a distraction for doing the same thing by simply taking a knee and going in a silent protest. These owners were leapfrogging one another to release statement after statement after statement opposing Trump's words. Yet, none of them were able to extend an opportunity to Colin Kaepernick because, well, we wouldn't want to place an unwarranted distraction on our football teams. Couldn't want that. Especially, the truth is, I believe the truth. This is my opinion now. The truth is these owners are scared of losing money, especially with down ratings and college football numbers on the rise. These statements were necessary for PR. They're necessary for public relations. My hope is that they were more than just a public relations quick fix. My hope is that sports can spark a change away from this divisive dialogue that we currently have going on in social media, in real life, all over the place. The only problem is, based on what I saw on social media today, I'm not sure this is going to actually be the solution.
And I give the owners a little bit of the benefit of the doubt here because in the statement, that the biggest one of all this from Donald Trump, he says owners. He doesn't just mention that the fault is on the players. He also mentions owners. So I think to a certain degree that they were irked by that because maybe behind closed doors it wasn't out there as much publicly, but a lot of owners have been siding, you would think, with Donald Trump for one reason or the other, and you're like, well, he just mentioned us. So I think a little bit of a response to that was part of this.
I believe 7 different owners donated to Trump's campaign, at least $1 million.
So I think that is what sparked a lot of people to make these public statements in terms of NFL owners because maybe they're compatriot to a certain degree. You just mentioned the 7 of them. He named them, not by name, but named them as a group.
What I found just fascinating at the end of the day is when I say Trump quadrupled down, at one point tonight, and I'm trying to find the quote, Trump said that, believe he was asked in a press conference setting, is what it looks like. He's not coming out with a statement. I believe he's asked the question here. Is what it sounds like.
Yes, it was a press pool, or he was at some event.
Yeah. Was asked, I'm assuming whether he watched football or not. And he said, I didn't watch football, and I'm not quoting him here, just taking bits and pieces of this quote that he had, because I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember word for word, but
I couldn't find it on social media. It's the gist of it. Saying that he didn't watch football, that he had other things to do, but then at the very end saying, well, I watched a little bit.
Like,
you're killing yourself.
Like, at this point, you shouldn't be responding again. So you had your initial talk about it. The players and a lot of fans responded. That's where it should end. That's where it should end. It's reaction and action. And then to react again, have that second level reaction, and then to contradict yourself is just helping nobody. It's really too bad.
What kills me is that players taking knees is not the biggest issue we're facing in this country. It's just not. Plain and simple. There are many bigger obstacles that this country faces over the next day, week, month, and years. North Korea, for one. The investigation into Russia potentially hacking our elections. And I'm not saying we need to go back and review the 2016 election. What I'm saying is you probably should make sure it doesn't happen again.
Yeah, get him out of here.
You don't want that.
Game of Thrones.
If it happened this time in favor of the Republicans, wouldn't the Republicans hate if it happened in favor of the Democrats? Is all I'm saying. So you got to make sure that the greatest democracy in the world isn't being affected by people that hate seeing this democracy. The other major issue that we're having in this country is over healthcare. We can't figure that out because, it is that difficult. Plain and simple, it is. I've been around healthcare my entire life because my mom works in healthcare.
At Sports My Mom.
At Sports My Mom works in healthcare. At Sports My Mom's sister works in healthcare.
At Sports by Mom's sister.
At Sports by Aunt.
Is that what Mom's sister is?
It works in healthcare. I've been around it my entire life. I understand it's very complicated. It's a very heated issue. All of these issues are. Whether players want to take a silent protest or not is not the most pressing issue in this country. If we've gotten to that point, we've figured a lot of things out. We're living near utopia if that's what the issue is. Honestly, it makes zero sense to me.
And like I said off the top, I feel as Matt Traybold, he shouldn't pick a side in something like this. But when you say son of a bitch, I know you said SOB earlier.
That's fine. Go ahead.
When you say son of a bitch, I know it's one of those terms that gets thrown out there a lot. You don't really think about what it means, like if you really break it down. But you're calling someone's mother a bitch.
Yeah, you don't know.
Lorenzo Alexander talked about it a little bit in terms of the specific, because he did this today, specifically with his situation, is his mother a bitch? And he says, I think a lot of people that would not say that.
Right.
So that's where I have an issue. And then whatever side of the fence or whatever the political term is, whatever side of the aisle, I'm learning.
There we go.
Whatever side of the aisle you're on, I don't care. I don't really get into that stuff too much. I like to stick to sports when I'm talking about this kind of stuff. That's what I know best. But when you take all that out of it, you can't say son of a bitch when you really think about what that means, what that's defined as.
Words have, I believe, lost meaning over time. We place less value on what they actually mean.
It's just like, I think a lot of the social media age.
Probably.
You can get words out there so quickly that you don't think about what they mean sometimes.
Right. And that's the issue, is that I believe now we're at that point where even the guy that holds the highest office in the world,
Roger Goodell. Sorry.
Something like that. Very, very nice. Is willing to just throw these out frivolously. And that's a scary proposition. Because words are powerful. The pen is mightier than the sword, people. That's the idea.
Words are bond.
Something like that. Is a former segment or supposed to be segment.
I think that's what we're in right now. Oh,
okay,
it's just so meta. We're so meta right now.
So yeah, all right. Listen, it became, and I'm sure we're going to lose downloads the following week because of the little rant there.
Hey,
and it wasn't meant to be
I try to
political.
Get a second side.
It was
in there,
more
guys.
a shot at the owners than it was the president. I don't agree with, full disclosure, I don't agree with what the president is saying about the NFL players or about players that want to protest from going to visit the White House. I believe it's a choice. That's what the Constitution grants us the right to do. That's why we live in America.
And guys, I try to put a concerted effort there to get both sides of it. And if you don't think that's the case, then I'm sorry. That's what my intentions were. Give you that sauce.
All right, so it's a heavy A block here, but I want to get back to college football quickly because Trav's Nittany Lions here, the great Penn State aunt, was very happy on Saturday, and for good reason. That's a great win by Penn State. When you think of signature wins on a season, and I get Iowa's not ranked, but to me that doesn't matter. It's a conference opponent. It's on the road. You're down. You've got limited resources, meaning timeouts and time to work with, and you have to score a touchdown. You can't settle for a field goal to tie or push it. You have to get in the end zone. This team finds a way to do it. That's big-time football early in the season.
And that's something I think the CFP committee is going to be looking at down the line because, yes, Iowa isn't ranked, but if you look since 2008, Kinnick on the road for a ranked team at night, this is a big, big test. I mean, right before I went off to Penn State, I'd already, quote-unquote, committed there.
Yeah, you committed.
I'm not an athlete. So this is 2008. This is that crazy season where Rutgers was at the top, South Florida was at the top, Kansas was at the top. Penn State had a chance to be the number one team in the nation and maybe be in that BCS title game. I'm like, I'm going to be there next year. This is going to be wild. And then Iowa beats them. And then last year they beat Michigan. Not long before that, they beat Michigan State.
Yeah.
Trounced them. So when you take into account the history and the fact that, Akram Wadley is probably going to be 2018 day 2 pick. They have this kind of talent. Josie Jewell. This is pretty big. And I was looking up like 2017 CFP. How many losses did they have in the regular season? Because I thought I knew, but I wasn't sure. I'm like, oh, Clemson lost to Pitt. So it's going to be okay. And then Trace McSorley to Juwan Johnson.
If they lose that in that spot, if they fall to Iowa, it's quite possible they're not even in the discussion.
That's
for
the thing with college football.
The CFP.
1 or 2 losses.
It really is. Well, not only that, because when you look at the landscape of the Big Ten, Michigan's right there.
Yeah.
Ohio State's right there. And these are 2 teams that, first of all, are going to battle themselves. So one of them's going to have a loss. But if one of them's undefeated, and you're looking at 2-loss Big Ten teams and an undefeated team, you're going with the undefeated team and putting them in there.
Yeah, and that's what's tough. I mean, the Big Ten in the AP poll update today, this is Sunday, we're recording this, it came out and there's 11, of the top 11, there's 4 Big Ten teams. So
crazy.
They're Wisconsin, and those 2 teams
Wisconsin's
you
up there
mentioned,
too.
they're nipping at the heels. They would be happy to swap as the top Big Ten team.
Back-to-back-to-back weeks. I mean, there hasn't... We've had 4 weeks of college football. We've had 4 phenomenal weeks of college football. There's been at least one game.
We really have.
There's been at least one game that's
in terms
been
of ranked
spectacular.
versus ranked.
Listen, even the Syracuse LSU game was entertaining
Yes.
at times, and you didn't have to be a fan of either team. That was still entertaining. I'm an SU fan, and that was I thought a very entertaining game. I thought they dropped the ball. I thought coaching staff made a few mistakes. A couple plays were left out there, but that's the nature of college football. They're not pros. That's the idea. So with that, I will play the bump music in. Around the corner, we're going to welcome in FOTS Esquire. New nickname for
I love it.
For one Matt Hauswirth of CNY Central.
Nope, don't like it. That sounds like he's singing.
We'll discuss LSU, Syracuse. Did SU leave one on the table? What's the future for this Syracuse team? And we'll just dive around college football a little bit. TBD rolling on.
Stephen Bond just hit himself with the mic in the lip, but only the top lip. That means he has one more to talk. That's what we do right now. We're here on the B block. Oh my god!
Oh, look at this.
The B block. Yes.
The blood block, apparently, because I think I'm bleeding now.
Making fun of you.
Nobody makes me bleed my own blood.
Making fun of you. Bring it back from break, and this is what I get.
It is what you get. This is what you get.
It is.
First,
it's caramel right there.
Ah, God.
It's caramel right there.
This thing got spin around a little too fast. Right in the face, literally. Bad. All right, it's time to talk some college football. We'll go to a much lighter note here and bring in good friend of the show, Matt Hauswirth of CNY Central. You can find him on Twitter at @MattHaus_CNY. Haus, what's the word, kid?
Hey, not much. Just another NFL Sunday in the books.
Yeah.
God, I can't get enough football. I think I speak for everyone.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. We had a good one last night down in Death Valley. SU falling. They did it to themselves, though, and I think that's the best way to describe it, is they had their chances, but they sort of shot themselves in the foot a couple of different times. What went wrong, in your opinion? What went wrong for SU in Death Valley?
It was literally a couple of mistakes. And going into this game, and they were a 20-plus point underdog, which is almost unheard of in Las Vegas, and especially in terms of college football, when one Power 5 school is going up against another. Syracuse not only looked the part, but they look like a team that could absolutely go to a bowl game this year. And the reason they lost this game certainly was not because of the defense. I thought the defense was absolutely terrific. This was a defense that I think if they play this well, will give this team a chance to win consistently week in and week out. It doesn't matter if you're playing Clemson at home. It doesn't matter if you're playing Florida State on the road. This is a defense that played as well as they possibly could in the most hostile environment. I would say a top 3 venue in all of college football. It was the offense. You think of the blunders in the first half, only putting up 3 points. That's a problem. First play of the game, Eric Dungy throws an interception, basically a pick six, but he was thrown out at the 1-yard line. That cannot happen. That was the jitters of being in a huge venue, the jitters of playing against a team that Syracuse has no business playing with. That was just all of that coming together, and one big mistake. On top of that, Sean Riley, a receiver who really came on against Central Michigan. This is a kid who was wide open in the end zone, dropped a touchdown pass in the second quarter, went right into his hands, hit him in the breadbasket. As they say, quarterback hit your receiver right in the numbers, and that's what it did, and he dropped it.
Going against the grain there, too. I mean, that was a heck of a throw from Dungy.
Yeah.
Heck of a throw from Dungy.
And those are mistakes that can't happen if you want to beat a team like LSU on the road.
Yeah.
So that is exactly why they lost that game. Second half, though, they made one heck of an effort. That second half performance was one that I think got people re-energized in Syracuse football. And something that, we really haven't said in a long time, and something that, Dino Babers is trying to make sure happens here because, as we all know, this schedule is going to heat up fairly quickly, and you got to put a good product on the field. I think Babers put a darn good product on the field on Saturday night, and they can only build off it from here.
Late in the fourth quarter, SU, momentum. Some people are now pointing to Babers and that coaching staff, the decisions they made, as maybe the difference. One being the onside kick, another one being the decision to not go for two after Dungy rushed in that touchdown. Did Dino let his group down with some bad decisions maybe?
I don't know if I'd classify it as a bad decision. I think that, I was listening to his post-game press conference afterward, and he was asked about not going for two and instead going for one. You would think going for two, that makes it a one-possession game. You get another touchdown and another two-point conversion, and it's tied. However, it was still late in the third quarter when they decided to go for the field goal or the extra point and not the two-point conversion. Dino's reasoning was that, hey, we had a lot of time left. We had an entire fourth quarter. A lot can happen. And remember, Dino is so prideful of that offense. He thinks every time they touch the ball, they're going to score. He thinks every play can go straight to the house. So that's his reasoning. He thinks, that he believes in this offense. He thinks that it's going to put up points in a hurry. However, that really wasn't the case in the fourth quarter. I mean, they really kind of had to grind it out. Looking back at it, if they don't get that two-point conversion, then it's a 10-point game. You do a touchdown, and then you'll have to do a field goal. You go for the point after, it's still a two-possession game. So you look at it and you say, why the heck not? Go for two. If you don't get it, then it's still a two-possession game. So I can understand why Syracuse fans were curious as to why he didn't go for two. Mm-hmm. Personally, I think he should have gone for two. That was the first thing that came out of my mouth when I was looking at the TV. Yeah. Why is he not going for two? But, he thinks this offense can score in a hurry, and that's not the way it's panned out in the end.
I spent an awful lot of time on Twitter last night going back and forth between Twitter and the game, and that was the first thing everyone said. Why not two? Why not? Listen, this team has been, and this program has been awful for a very long time, to the point where they're accepting moral victories. At what point with this offense, with this coaching staff, can we stop accepting games like LSU and say, well, it's a moral victory?
It'll probably have to be, they'll have to build back-to-back bowl seasons. It'll have to be a theme. It can't be just like a one season where they go 7-5 and they go to the Liberty Bowl. It can't be something like that. They got to build back-to-back seasons where they go to the postseason and where bowl games are expected here. That's what we got to get to, where people will think, okay, Syracuse goes on the road, they go to Mississippi State, they go to Arizona State, they go to Oregon, they go wherever, and they have a real shot to win the game. Before last night, nobody here in Central New York thought that they had any chance of winning any of those kinds of games. I mean, did you see, the ESPN shots? They kept showing the Syracuse crowd, and they were freaking out. I mean, these guys were going nuts. And it's been so long since they felt like that for Syracuse football. And I think it was just really good to see. However, Dino said there's no such thing as moral victories. He said he's had these wins before where he's had teams go into venues like that and win. And he said he's upset, he's disappointed because his guys didn't get to feel the same type of excitement that you feel when you go on the road and beat a huge powerhouse like that. So hopefully that fuels this team because they have a lot of opportunities remaining, as we all know that.
Good point.
And you mentioned that. Next up for Syracuse, a home game against NC State. Wolfpack, big win over Florida State. We're number 12. In the AP poll update today, Florida State out of it. NC State maybe should have been in, but they're the last team out of it. Definitely got a big boost, though. How do they compete against the Wolfpack this week?
It's going to be a very difficult game, especially going to their place. And coming off a win like that, we all know this is a hurting Florida State team. They didn't even play the week before because of the hurricane. So it's been a long time since they got back on the field and felt like what it feels like to be in a real game atmosphere. I think NC State caught Florida State sleeping a little bit. Yeah. I expect Florida State to bounce back, but NC State, this is a team right now that could very well finish in the top 3 of this conference just based on how things are starting to stack up. Louisville, I don't think, looks like the powerhouse anymore. Lamar Jackson's great and all, but he was really exposed against Clemson. I think this is a conference where NC State could absolutely move its way up. In terms of Syracuse going there, it's going to be a difficult game. It's going to be hot. The good thing is Syracuse just came from Louisiana where it was hot down there, so they'll be accustomed to it. It's going to be a day game, 12:30 kickoff down there. I'll be completely honest. I haven't done a ton of homework on NC State yet, but I know enough to know that they went on the road and beat Florida State, a place where nobody wins. It doesn't matter what quarterback Florida State has. So that means NC State's going to be ready. It's going to be very important to see if Dino Babers can get his team ready enough to bounce back and play as well as they did at LSU. This is going to be a really important game for them, because if they fall flat on their face, then we'll say, well, okay, that's the Syracuse we're accustomed to seeing. Okay, they'll go 4-8 the rest of the way, and they'll that'll be the end of it. Or they'll go to NC State and they'll look the part, they'll battle, and maybe they get a field goal at the end to win it. So this might be a turning point for the SU football season.
This might be Dino's biggest challenge, because you've got to get your guys mentally ready to go. It was such a mental, I think, letdown at LSU to come that close in such a big venue against a good opponent. Mentally, I think, is going to be the key. All right, let's go broader here, Haus. Good or bad, what's the biggest surprise of the ACC through, week 4 now?
Yeah. I would venture to say Virginia Tech. I know this is the other side, the coastal division of the ACC, but this is a team that, over the last few years, under Frank Beamer, they were definitely not living up to their expectations that they had, in the early 2000s, the 90s, when they had Michael Vick and so many great players. But Justin Fuente is a guy who came in and really flipped this team upside down. They are an awesome football team. They're exciting to watch. And Virginia Tech, I believe, has Clemson this week at their place at Lane Stadium. So that is going to be an unbelievable game. And that could be the future matchup of the ACC championship in Charlotte between Clemson and Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech, to me, just looks like a team that, if they continue to win, if they beat Clemson at their place, they could absolutely work their way into the college football playoff discussion. But you look at the rest of the league, Wake Forest is 1-0 in the league. They're undefeated. They come to the Carrier Dome later in the year. And Miami got a nice win over Toledo, probably the favorite in the MAC conference. So there are a lot of good teams in the ACC, but one that really stands out to me as a team that I didn't really think was going to be great, but is pretty good, is Virginia Tech.
So you used to cover the Big 12. Who's the team to beat in that conference after a shaky weekend from both Oklahoma and Oklahoma State?
It's still Oklahoma, because the Big 12 championship runs through Norman. And until you go to that environment and see what it's like and see butts in the seats, something we're not too familiar with here at the Carrier Dome, it is unreal how passionate that fan base is. And, seeing Oklahoma State fall at home to TCU, that just shows how good TCU is. And I guess Oklahoma State's not for real. West Virginia's bounced back nicely after, losing to Virginia Tech in that first game. I still think Oklahoma, obviously, with a senior quarterback, a kid who can make plays happen out of thin air, that's the team to beat. They've always got a strong running game. They always have a good aerial attack. The defense is always stout. Oklahoma is still the team to beat in the Big 12. Until then, I think there's going to be some interesting games, because when I covered the Big 12, every game was just intriguing. Beside Kansas, we exclude the Kansas Jayhawks, but even Iowa State, they've really played some teams hard. It's a tough conference. It's a round robin schedule, so everybody plays everybody. And what I always used to say about the Big 12 is that it's such a difficult conference, not because of how big it is, but because you play each team every year. So every team has a memory. They remember what happened last year. They want to get you back for it the next year. And it's such a tough conference when you have to deal with that. I still won't count out West Virginia just because they are, my team. But I think it is Oklahoma. Absolutely Oklahoma.
No alumni bias there whatsoever. It's all right.
A little bit.
All right, buddy. We're a month into this thing, so it's time for the way too early predictions. If the season ended today with 4 games, who looks the part to be in that Final Four, to be in that college playoff?
I think without a question, Alabama and Clemson. I think that's going to be the national championship game again. Those two teams are just on an entirely different level. I don't know if you guys saw the Alabama game against Vanderbilt, but that was literally a varsity team going against a 7th grade team. Vanderbilt, a team that looked really good before that game.
Yeah.
So literally any team besides those two really don't matter. But in the sake of a 4-team playoff, I think USC's up there. That's a team you got to throw in there. Although they did look pretty shaky against Cal.
Yeah.
I think Oklahoma is a team that's right there on the doorstep. If they continue to win, which is going to be a tall task because Big 12 is so good, they got to go to some crazy venues and play some very good teams. That's going to be difficult. I think the winner of the Big 10 always gets in. It doesn't matter. It's going to be either Penn State, Michigan, or Ohio State. You know what? A 1-loss Ohio State team will get in no matter what.
Yeah.
So if they end up winning the rest of the way, they're in. But
you're breaking Travis' heart here.
Nah, it's all good. Happened last year. It's all good.
I'm not sure if Penn State plays Ohio State. Do they this year?
They do, and it's back.
Oh, it's at the shoe. Oh boy,
they want revenge.
Travis speaking exclusively for the team.
If Penn State was able to go on the road and beat Iowa, that's a great win. It doesn't matter if Iowa's not ranked; they're so good at home.
Yeah.
And the fact they were able to win that in an exciting fashion, I mean, that was an awesome end of the game. I wouldn't count out Penn State either. But it goes back to the discussion: 4 spots, but there's 5 power conferences.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
One conference is out. Which one is out? There's such a bias about USC. Everyone loves Sam Darnold. If they win the Pac-12, they're in no matter what. The Big Ten. I mean, they've got such a huge following across the country. The winner of that conference, absolutely in. And then Clemson and Alabama. I mean, no question, they're in if they win out the rest of the way. But where does that leave Oklahoma? If Oklahoma finishes out strong.
True.
So they're going to have to come up with a solution. I still think the 8-team playoff is the solution, but until then, we're going to have this discussion.
At least 6. The fact that the Big 12 is getting shielded out is just crazy. It's a crazy concept to think about.
Good point.
With all of the blue bloods in that. I mean, and producing blue bloods at this point in time, not being able to get in last year.
The real important question here, Haus, is that you've got a bunch of pictures up behind you from the office of CNY Central, and I'm not seeing one of the to-be-determined boys up there. So I want to know how we work our way onto the wall.
Yeah, we got to send him something.
I know. This is there's not even space for us there. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, no, I will make space.
You're a good man. I just want you to know that.
It might go all right here.
Perfect. All right, we'll get a big spread then. I like that.
But we can't cover up the OCC hat.
Of course not.
No.
Of course not. That's got to be front and center.
The ESM hat.
Oh, good God. Yeah, 2 ESM alums in that department, so that's got to be... Surprised there's not a banner in that office somewhere. It's probably behind the shot that we can't see, but that's all right.
Hey, and we'll get you a couple wallet size, too. It could be good.
Feel free to carry him around your wallet,
Out of the wallet, just dropping down.
We'll have different poses. We'll get different backgrounds, the whole 9 yards.
I wouldn't be against that.
All right. Matt Hauswirth, the CNY Central. You can find him on Twitter at @MattHaus_CNY. What's the website where people can check out your stuff?
CNYCentral.com. Just click under the sports tab. And, typically, last night I was here pretty late posting a bunch of stories, the game recap between LSU and Syracuse. And, a lot of times just local sports in the area, Section 3 athletics and high school sports, a lot of high school football games yesterday. So all that stuff you can watch over on our website and read up on the stories and everything going on in Central New York.
It's the place to go.
Beautiful.
It's the place to be.
Yeah.
Matt Hauswirth, the CNY Central, and OG FOTS of To Be Determined. We appreciate the time, brother.
Thank you.
Hey, for having me.
Let me get the bump music up here. We'll put the bump music in. Around the corner, a fascinating number. We didn't even get to a point. Not even one. I think we had some billions last week. We're not even getting to one. this week, and Melo is on the move. Melo headed for the Midwest.
Sub 1?
Sub 1. Sub 1. Melo headed for the Midwest. Segments are next. To be determined. Rolling on.
Oh, baby, it's fall time. This is our sports cider into your basket.
I love it. It's so bad. It's great. That's so bad. It's so good.
We could definitely start over.
I don't know if we can scrap this. This is a good take right now. This is spectacular.
Now, let me preface this with... it's already happened. I can't preface it anymore. It's out there.
I think this is the...
No, I told Steve, I'm like, I don't have anything. He's like, oh, no, we can start a minute later. Like, no.
You wanted to start on time
taken your
here.
Advice.
Hey, listen. It's all right. These things happen. I wish I had the boo thing on the mixer thing.
Myself.
It'd be good. There we go. All right. C-block time for some segments. Let's reset it. At Sports by Bond with at Trabs Matt, Stephen Bond, Matt Traybold. You can find the show on Twitter at TBD_show. Give us a follow there. We'll post some content there. There is exclusive content actually posted to Twitter. The Clapperboard.
We're pasteurizing our own cider this week.
That's true. We're pasteurizing our own cider, allegedly. ToBeDeterminedShow.com. Or no, yeah, it's the website.
Yeah.
I'm confusing myself here. ToBeDeterminedShow.com, the
cider
website.
on your brain.
I know, I do. To Be Determined Show on Instagram. And there are great little social media clips that we're trying to promote the show with that we've spent good money on.
Yeah, like a month or so ago, we shot like 40 of these things. And you know what? I don't know about you, but I had a blast doing it.
It was a lot. It was a lot.
We really used the space pretty well. We used your TV wall. He's got 3 TVs
hooked
mounted
up the
right
monitors.
next to each other. Worked really well. Us being able to watch yourself.
We had some props.
Our spatials. Yes, we went to...
Good props.
Hobby Lobby?
Hobby Lobby.
Hobby Lobby.
We got stuck at Hobby Lobby for like an hour that day.
Yeah, gosh. So many treats.
You literally can get lost in that store because there's so much. It will overwhelm the senses.
It's a problem.
It is. It absolutely is.
This is a PSA, guys.
I get why they have to be closed on Sunday because it's too much. People literally can't handle it. It's too much on the weekends.
There's probably some other reason for that.
It could be, but I'm sure it's just because they overwhelm the senses.
My senses.
So check us out on Instagram, To Be Determined Show. You can check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/ToBeDeterminedPod. Email the show.
/Cider Boys.
No. That's not part of it. Email the show, tbdmailman@gmail.com.
You guys even ready for how many cider references I'm going to make?
It's insane. All right, we'll see how many we can get in this block. I think it's up to 3 right now.
I hope it's probably more than that.
All right, B-side story. Melo to the Thunder. B-side only because it's a football weekend and that's when it happened. But really, it's major news if you're an NBA guy.
Yeah, I mean, the season starts September 30th. You almost forgot to a certain degree. I mean, granted, with the Hoodie Mellow stuff and that viral campaign, I'm not even sure if it was supposed to be a campaign. Like, he tried to have it be like that. He just likes hoodies. So you forgot about it before that stuff on Instagram. You're like, oh, yeah, Carmelo still didn't find a new team.
Yeah.
And
still
the season starts, and training camp starts real soon. Yeah. And September 30th is opening night, whatever you want to call it, for the NBA.
Yeah.
So
it'll be this week. So he goes to OKC. Was that the worst landing spot for Melo?
So the thing is, I'm not sure it's a bad landing spot per se, but in terms of the other options, like Portland was really going in on him in terms of having like a CJ McCollum really politic to have him come.
I almost thought that would have been better for him.
Yeah, no, but with the young talent there, I think that might have helped because he wasn't a really good teammate, I would say. A lot of that is how many shots he took, so I'm not sure what he was in the locker room. But he wasn't a great teammate in New York. I'm not sure quite as much when he was younger, when he was in Denver. So maybe he would have taken over a new leaf and really helped guys that are really already established in CJ and Dame Dalla and helped them. But they have plenty of young guys that he could have helped. Mo Harkless.
You've got Russ Wilson there, who needs to have the ball in his hands, who is an extremely selfish player. Paul George, I don't want to say he's selfish, but another guy that likes to have the ball in his hands. And now you add Melo, a third guy of a similar caliber. And Paul George comes out on Sunday and says, this feels like a championship caliber team.
See, the thing is, I don't know.
I disagree with that.
I mean, because I look at it, I think they're going to be step on each other's toes. Because Russell Westbrook is not the best shooter. So in terms of if he's going to be hitting jumpers as opposed to scoring in transition, which obviously he's very good at, he needs his shots. He needs a good amount of shots. Paul George, maybe not as much in terms of that, a little bit more of an efficient player. But hey, Paul George, this is a 1-year deal with the Thunder. And then he's probably going to be going even more westerly with where he's playing his NBA ball. And Carmelo Anthony, I'm not sure where he is at this point in his career. I know people think with the Hoodie Melo drive that he's maybe a little bit reinvigorated, but I'm not sure about that. What is good is that they have very good role players. I love Terrence Ferguson as a very athletic, vertically 3-and-D. They got him in the draft. I really like Steven Adams as a defensive 5. And I mean, he doesn't really need to score on a team with these 3 guys. So I don't know if they'd be stepping on each other's toes. I mean, there's only one basketball. It's become cliche at this point, especially with the concept of a super team really souping up with the Heat and now with the Warriors with Kevin Durant joining them. But I don't know. And I'm not sure at what point, productivity-wise, you're going to see in his career a Carmelo Anthony.
So Melo becomes an unrestricted free agent in 2019. So they've got him for 2 years basically.
Well,
He'll be
do it now.
He's 33 now. He'll be 35 when he becomes a free agent.
Very interesting.
So, yeah, you got PG for 1 and Melo for 2. What happens after that? Who knows? The Thunder are I think looking around the West, going, man. There's a lot of teams that are all in right now.
Yeah.
And even in the East, for that matter. If we're going to try to contend for a title, we got to do something.
Yeah, flash in a pan. They were going to have 1 or 2 chances here. Probably 1.
I don't hate them for trying. I just don't think these pieces fit. I think it's almost like a panic move at this point.
And they didn't give up much. I mean, Doug McDermott has had his moments. Enes Kanter, I mean, you're losing teens a game in terms of scoring, but it's a guy who never really brought in the defensive end. So, but Carmelo doesn't as well, but at least he has better numbers otherwise. So I guess it helps to a certain degree they didn't give up a lot. And
you wonder if Melo would even move farther west, too, at the end of his stint in Oklahoma City.
I mean, I would definitely.
Who knows?
Who knows? Clippers, Lakers.
A lot of it'll have to do with...
Everyone talk about them as souping up and getting these guys.
A lot of it'll have to do with where LeBron goes. It's so funny. Yeah. Because the league just still revolves around that guy, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
It'll keep going because he's LeBron James. He's just ageless. He hasn't showed it yet.
All right. B-side story, Melo to the Thunder. By the numbers. The number this week, 0.8. It's a big one. As in
or is it a small one? Actually, it's a big because it's so small.
It's big because it's so small. As in the total quarterback rating, Baltimore Ravens quarterback Joe Flacco recorded Sunday morning, early Sunday morning, or is it Monday? Is that technically a Monday night, afternoon game? Because it's in London? I don't know. I don't know what the time difference is against the Jags.
You got me.
All right. It's morning here, and I guess that's the important thing. Flacco went a whole 8 for 18 for a massive 28 yards, no TDs, and an interception. Single worst game total QBR of any QB this season, and the worst of his career.
I mean, that is crazy to see.
The Jags look legit with Doug.
I forgot what it goes all the way up to. Something around maybe 138. It's something where it's just a completely random number is the top possible QBR someone can get. But
159.
Oh yeah,
2 or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
156. I can't remember.
But oh my gosh, less than a point. And then Ryan Mallett comes in, and yes, I mean he didn't put up huge numbers yardage wise, but he was 6 for 9.
158.3. Sorry.
158.3.
I was wrong on both of them.
Well, you're pretty close. 159. 159.2. One away on both. Before and after the dot there. But, I mean, Ryan Mallett came in, not a lot of yardage, but he had a touchdown to Ben Watson. Ageless wonder. Speaking of...
That's true. Another ageless wonder.
Ryan Mallett did not play as long and had... He had better numbers.
He was more effective. He wasn't great, but he was more effective.
I'm just flabbergasted by seeing 0.8. And, hey... Joe Flacco is the 6th highest paid person this season in the NFL.
That's crazy.
And he just got a 0.8 QBR. And I don't think you can put too much into QBR as opposed to a lot of other stats for a quarterback. But 0.8
that's not
definitely is bad.
It's not good. It looks like it even dropped further down here. I've got 0.5 now that I look at ESPN.
Really?
I don't know how that changes, but the last time we looked it was 0.8. Now it's 0.5.
Maybe there's a stat correction.
Maybe. That could be. So the new number...
Gosh.
The new number is 0.5. Blake Bortles, meanwhile, 20 of 31, 244, and 4 TDs.
How about this?
Dougie Marone's got him playing.
Mercedes Lewis?
The boys are 2-1 down there.
That defense was already established
in
this
a
season?
disastrous division, by the way.
Yeah,
Tennessee
it
is the only
so
legit
up.
team.
It is so up for grabs.
But you're right. It could be. It
That's the
absolutely
thing.
could be.
Like any of these teams catch a little bit of fire, then they can. I lost my voice there a little bit. Then it's theirs for the taking.
All right. So the numbers this week is 0.8 with an adjustment to make it 0.5. Honorary B-side story, if I may, quickly. Justin Thomas winning the FedEx Cup 2017 and is going to get paid $10 million the prize for it. He had, 4 or 5 wins, got the major. I mean, listen.
Well-rounded year for him.
You don't think of him in the same light as Jordan Spieth, but you need to start thinking about him in the same light as Jordan Spieth. You really do.
Not just his boy.
They're not only good friends, but they're damn good golfers, too. They are fun to watch.
And who would have thought coming into this PGA season that this would happen? I mean, it's obviously not somebody completely new on the scene, but...
He's newer.
Yeah, he's absolutely newer. And not only to be better than expected in his ranking within these rankings, but for it to be number one.
Craziness.
Hey, you like to see new blood. I think it makes... I mean, with Tiger not being there as a no-brainer number one, it helps to have very deep fields in the PGA.
There's no controversy with him, and maybe that's why he's not as exciting, but it's a fun player to watch.
He's not a massive personality.
Right. All right, bump music and around the corner, we welcome in the fitness and nutrition, the health guru of To Be Determined, James Whelan, a.k.a. Jimmy Wheels. We'll talk fall fitness, we'll talk fall diets, and the long-awaited debate on pumpkin spice as Trabs chokes at the end of the segment. What a C block it was. He may not be back for the D block. You'll have to stick and stay to see.
Recorded on the first official day of fall. Autumn. Yeah. See, fall, autumn, it's the same thing.
Okay, all right.
I'm looking at Steve. He had no idea.
Very confused there. I didn't... You've confused me just about every week.
Autumn.
For the past, 4 or 5 weeks now. Tum. Okay.
Like shoot.
Shoot. Okay. All right. Well, hey, it works.
Not shoot.
It works. Bro tip time. Pleased to welcome in a longtime friend of the show. It's been a while since we've had one James Whelan on, the owner and the head coach at resiliencenutrition.co. .co important. James, how are you, sir?
I'm great. It has been quite a while. I have finished quite a few things. Finished my first year at grad school.
Excellent.
Took my board examinations for dietetics, and now I'm back at it again in grad school. So fun.
This guy never stops working. And by the way, he just lives at the gym. So
I try to.
His girlfriend's a saint for putting up with him, but
it's so I don't have to pay rent.
It's a smart move.
He's on that grind.
It's that RIT education.
Yes.
So James we bring on because the hope is we're going to gain some sort of obviously nutritional value, but workout stuff, the whole 9 yards. We're going to run through kind of everything with him today as we're going to touch on workouts and nutrition. So we've had an unseasonably and uncontrollably hot fall, which I'm not going to complain about, but one at Trabs Matt will.
Oppressively hot. Oppressively hot.
It's the way he loves to describe this. I love it. I can get outside more. It's gorgeous out. So what are some of your favorite outdoor workouts that we can try to do, James?
Well, bottom line is it's 80 degrees right now, and that middle of September is get outside as much as you can and work outside. And if you're kind of stuck to the Globo gym where all the machines are inside, that's unfortunate. But use this weather because honestly, maybe in about a month or two, it's not going to be 80 degrees. So favorite workouts to do outside, obviously you can run, you can swim. Swimming is a tough workout. It's not for many, but if you're good at it, feel free to find a body of water and go swim. But any body weight stuff, so that you don't need any equipment. Your body is more than effective to give you a good workout. Burpees, sit-ups, push-ups, lunges, jumping jacks, anything like that. But basically the bottom line is just get outside while you can, because before you know it, we're going to have 3 feet of snow.
God, it's depressing.
Maybe within the month.
Yeah.
Now, is it a good idea to change up your workouts as the seasons change?
Absolutely, and you'll find that especially in the sport I compete in CrossFit, that you will definitely change up your workouts, kind of because of the weather, but also because of the part of the season. And sports teams do that as well. So obviously you have your off season, your preseason, and your actual season, and they change up their workouts depending on that. But as we approach into winter for my specific sport, like unfortunately in Rochester where it's going to be freezing, I'm not really going to run outside. So that's why I'm trying to utilize running as much as I can right now. We've been trying to pull the machines out. So we have rowers and bikes. You pull those outside while you can, because for the 6 months come November, December, we're just going to be inside grinding. So, we'll see a lot of the running and just outdoor workouts kind of go away, but that kind of goes with any sport through the season. You just kind of deal with it.
Only psychos get to run outside in the winter. That's what.
Yeah, you'll see the diehards. I mean, I had friends who ran cross country at RIT, and they ran outside every day of the year.
God, it's just
they dressed the suit and they had compression hoodies, beanies on, whatever they had to do to get outside and still run. Meanwhile, I'm like, I'll find a treadmill or something.
Same thing. I'm a big biker in the wintertime, just indoor bike. Save the legs. That's my theory. All right, now that fall is here, the diets inevitably change. How can we adjust our palates but still eat some healthy foods at the same time?
So my biggest thing when the fall and the winter come, because it's so cold and miserable in Rochester, I kind of tend to go back to comfort foods. And I feel like a lot of people do that as well. Like they'll go back to comfort foods, either foods that they either grew up with or just honestly probably fat-filled, buttery, nice and tasty type foods.
The good stuff.
So ways you can make that healthier is you can obviously reduce the amount of really just fat, or just substitute the type of fats you use in your cooking. So you can use plant-based oils like olive oil, coconut oil, any type of seed oil or nut oil. It would be better compared to using a canola oil or actually just lard or animal fat, because it'll provide a lot of omega-3s. Another big meal that I like to make a lot in the winter and fall, actually we just made this at my house last week, is a chili. So I love making chilies. And you can involve a whole bunch of stuff in your chili. We do ground turkey, we do 3 kinds of beans, black garbanzo and kidney beans, onions, tomatoes, and the secret ingredient, which I will give away to you guys,
nice,
which you might like, is semi-sweet chocolate.
Oh,
really? Yeah. So it's kind of cool. I actually picked this up for my mom, so I got to give her credit where it's due. But we picked semi-sweet chocolate chips, and you only put in about a half a cup. But the chili becomes kind of a sweet and spicy chili. So I like to put a lot of spice in it, but then the chocolate kind of takes it down a little bit. And it's only a little bit, and if you're making, when we make a chili, we're making 2 pounds of meat at one point. So it's not, if you're only putting a half a cup of chocolate chips in it, it's not really going to add that much calories to your meal. But the cool thing about it is it actually thickens it up. So if you like a thick chili instead of a runny or watery chili, you can use a little bit of chocolate chips to thicken it up.
Oh, I like that. That's a good little nugget there.
Now, when you're talking fall diets, it's inevitable pumpkin flavor. Are there any pumpkin-flavored recipes you're a fan of?
No. I absolutely hate pumpkin anything. I hate pumpkin spice lattes. I hate pumpkin pie. I hate, anything. I don't know what it is. It's just, I'm not a picky eater. But I can't do the pumpkin thing. I can't.
You're so
I like carving.
James.
I like carving pumpkins.
Yeah. So this is a bit of an embrace a debate here because I'm outnumbered. I think I'm the only one that enjoys pumpkin spice stuff here. I love it in my coffee.
Dude.
I tried the cream cheese stuff the other day. It was delicious.
No way.
Boo.
Trabs doesn't like it.
Nope.
James doesn't like it. I'm the only one that likes pumpkin spice.
You should feel bad.
No. And the thing, but what do you like about pumpkin spice? Because are you getting it in your coffee?
Yeah, I inevitably. So that's going to be the next question. That leads into the next one. Are there certain pumpkin spice items we should avoid? And if you tell me the stuff in the coffee, James, I'm just going to turn this off because that's the only reason I go to.
That's the thing. Like pumpkin spice is an actual spice. It's not just like a flavoring. Unfortunately, like a lot of the fast food places or in your convenient foods, like they'll use pumpkin spice as a flavoring. Let's say for like in coffee, but they're not actually putting pumpkin spice, which is a mix of cinnamon, nutmeg, and ginger and allspice. They're not actually putting like the spices in your coffee or like a cinnamon stick. They're not putting that in your coffee. They're putting like a pump of syrup or whatever you want to call that in your coffee. And then you're like, ooh, it tastes so good.
You're ruining this for me, James. You're ruining this for me. This is the one thing I could have in the fall.
You could try. I mean, the cream cheese, I've never heard of pumpkin spice cream cheese, mainly because I don't seek it out. But there probably are products on the, in the store or something that use real pumpkin spice, and that aren't like syrup based or sugary based. But a lot of the convenient stuff is just like sugar and some chemical to make it taste how it is.
How bad is that sugary crap that they put in there?
I wouldn't say it's like bad or good. I don't want to say like any food is bad because I think food can be good. Any food could be good in moderation. Like for example, like the chocolate that I'm putting in my chili. I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you that a half cup of chocolate chips are good for you every day. But we only make that chili maybe once every 3 to 4 weeks. So. It's not going to do physical harm, but obviously the effects of sugar are heavily studied over time. So if you're getting a pumpkin spice latte every day, or you're getting a coffee with exorbitant amount of sugars in every day, I would just consider doing something else.
All right, fair enough.
Just go like an apple with it. Get a smaller pumpkin and just bite it. That's is it edible skin?
Sip of coffee, bite of apple. Okay, all right. Well, all right, James. Plug the website. What can we expect if we go to resiliencenutrition.co?
You can actually, so you can go to the website, check it out. Fortunately for me, and unfortunately for my customers, I actually have a wait list right now.
No kidding, it's this popular.
Yeah, so business is doing well.
Well, we don't want to take all the credit, but I'm kidding.
I think I might have got a one or two.
All right, good.
Yeah, but you can go on there. You can read up about kind of what we do. It's basically just one-on-one nutrition counseling. There's a wait list, and you just simply fill it out. I get an email from it, and then I add you to it. I'm hoping to open up the wait list sometime soon, so if you're on that wait list, just keep an eye on that for that email.
Nice.
It's not a bad problem to have.
Yeah, not a bad problem to have.
Right?
Very nice.
Hey,
nice.
We're thrilled to hear that. And we, in all seriousness, we were responsible for none of those, but that's all right. All right, James Whelan, a CrossFit coach, a CrossFit guru, the owner and head coach of ResilienceNutrition.co, all-around good guy, except for when he hates on pumpkin spice.
No. It's when he's at his best.
James Whelan, we appreciate the time, sir.
All right, thank you for having me.
All right, time for It's Got Legs, a story that will continue to have some impact throughout the days, weeks, months leading up to whenever it becomes another story. Breaking news as we're recording this Legs segment. Dwayne Wade and the Chicago Bulls have reached an agreement on a buyout. That is being reported by ESPN and first reported by the Chicago Tribune.
And one of our FOTS, Eric Foss, I don't know how much can be put into this, but he had a tweet recently about the last tweet by Dwayne Wade being something about him maybe going to Oklahoma City. So I don't know if he's just trying to troll, which I wouldn't put past him, or if it's something with some real merit.
Who knows? Interesting stuff. All right. The scripted story, if you will.
Just a little tidbit, a little morsel for the peeps.
Off script there. Giancarlo Stanton, 4 home runs away from tying Roger Maris's record of 61. That's if you don't count the steroid era.
Yeah, they're calling it the clean record.
Oh, all right. Interesting.
The clean record. Very interesting. And, I mean, a lot of those guys, your Sosa, your Bonds, McGuire, they're not always going to have a definite steroid. I think it's more of a connotation than an actual fact in terms of finding results with drug tests and whatnot. But the clean record, it's tough. It's really too bad with these kind of stats and these kind of major records that are at the top of a major sport here in America, where you have like these two different kinds, a clean and a quote-unquote dirty record. It's really too bad that this sport has that, but that's the reality of it. And hey, it's going to be huge regardless if it's a clean or a dirty record with Giancarlo Stanton here.
So he's got, 7 games to get at least 4 to tie. 5 obviously surpasses. That's the obvious.
Obviously? Oh, yes.
Obviously.
That is one more.
I hate to go here, but Stanton does play in Miami, the home of Balco. We all remember what Balco was. I hope. Is there any concern that Stanton is on something, or that this season doesn't seem as legit because he's in Miami, because he's had all these home runs, because he's such a massive guy?
I mean, he is a massive guy, but it's the problem with where we are in the MLB right now with the steroid era. I guess I mentioned a second ago, where you have these just terrible thoughts were right off the bat. It happened yet again. You always have these flash-in-the-pan guys right at the top of an MLB season. It's happened with Chris Shelton and the Tigers recently. It was with Eric Thames and the Brewers this year. You see guys have big success, and honestly, D. Gordon's got popped for steroids before. It doesn't really matter what the body type is. You automatically think someone does well, kind of surprisingly, and you're like, oh, it's got to be steroids. It's really a terrible place for the MLB to be at, and the MLB is on the up and up.
I hope we're on the tail end of that.
I really hope. I think.
You would hope, but because steroids just taints everything. It taints the image of what you see as a great achievement, unfortunately. I hope that's not the case here. I don't think it is. He's always been a bigger guy, and it's not like his batting percentage is overwhelming.
Yeah. In terms of on the Marlins, he's had the success before. He's been a big guy before. So it's not like a big surprise in terms of that, where he's gone from small to big, like with the Barry Bonds.
Do you think he gets it? I know I've asked you this before because we've touched on this a couple times, but it's exciting to me.
I'd have to see the
4
schedule.
and 7.
I mean,
that's tough to do.
See, at the end of seasons, especially in that division where there's not a lot of contenders, a lot of times you're not getting 100% from the opposing pitching staff.
2 at-bats on Sunday. That's it for Stanton. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. I hope he does get it, though. I hope he at least ties it.
Hey,
it'd be exciting.
Something called a clean record in this era of
would
the MLB would be awesome.
Yeah, exactly. All right, we go to thank yous. Our thanks to FOTS Esquire, Matt Hauswirth. So good.
God, I love it.
Of CNY Central for joining us talking some college football. Our thanks to the nutritional guru, the health and fitness guru of To Be Determined, one James Whelan.
Yeet.
Jimmy Wheels, a.k.a. Our thanks to the senior producer, Mitch Beluca. Our thanks to the executive producer at Sports by Mom. Trabs, my thanks to you. Make sure you check out the show, tobedeterminedshow.com. You want to say something?
Cider Boys out.
Oh, good God. All the social media links are on the website, so make sure you check out that. Make sure you check out the post-game press conference every Wednesday, posted to the website and our YouTube channel. Give us a subscribe on YouTube. Friday show, as we can get them in, because they're insane, so make sure you do subscribe. So, TBD. Later, boys.